Uh, Good evening, everyone. My name's Mark Fernandez. So I'm a student of Buddhism and more particularly Tara Institute. So I've been studying for close to 40 years. So every time I look at what I've written, I've gone, oh, is it 35 years, 36 years, 37, but it's close to 40 years. So it's a long time. I haven't got much to show for it, but I do have good teachers. So that's one good thing. So anyway, the teachers in particular, the Venerable Geshe Doga. So I've been his student for a very long time. Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche, who's the founder of these FPMT centres, of which Tara Institute is one, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So just as an aside, Geshe Doga is in India at the moment, and has had an audience with the Dalai Lama and made offerings, which is very good. And he's still in India, which is very nice for him. So he's in a monastery with a lot of his students, his Tibetan students in India, which is great. But he'll be back at the end of January, I believe, which will be very good. So tonight I'm going to discuss a number of different topics, some of which I covered last week, and then we'll cover a few more topics this week, and then next week will be the last week in January, so we won't have a Monday night on the Australia Day. So it's just 3 weeks in January. So first up, is anyone new to Monday nights? Haven't been to Tara Institute before? Great, okay, welcome. And everyone else has been here before, okay, very good. So in Buddhism, motivation is very important. So for the period of the teaching, we should think, so it's not just me, but we should think strongly that I'm going to do my best to develop good qualities through listening, thinking about and meditating. So we can set this motivation for ourselves alone or for all sentient beings. So the idea of all sentient beings is quite a voluminous, humongous topic, isn't it? The idea of even conceptualising of, not just Melbourne or Victoria or Australia, the globe, but all sentient beings, animals, humans, non-humans, etc. So it's sort of like, it's all encompassing. So at times you think, oh, it's too much, but we just do what we can within our own capacity. So if you establish a good motive, so if whatever motivation you bring, it propels whatever action you do as a result of that motivation to be either a positive, negative or neutral. So that's not even a Buddhist idea, is it? So you just have whatever's your underlying motivation at the time or feeling that propels you to act, it will influence the result. So when we talk about results, it's another way of thinking about results are the law of cause and effect, or karma. So that's a Buddhist concept. It's also a Hindu concept. So the two major religions that hold to that idea of the law of cause and effect, or karma, are Buddhism and Hinduism. So, so in its simplest form, the law is reduced to a positive action will bring a positive result, and a negative action will bring a negative result. So, pretty much like that. So that idea of cause and effect, or karma, it's worth examining to see if it's actually true, because in Buddhism they say it's the law of cause and effect. So that means it's sort of irrefutable, doesn't it, really? But doesn't stand up to scrutiny. So that's for you to decide, not for me. So it's sort of, does it actually work? And does the universe operate in that way? Positive motivation, positive action, and then the result is positive. can anyone see some difficulties with that idea? Yeah, Christine, what do you think?
Sometimes there's a delay in the consequence manifesting, so you might get confused. Like you could do something good, and then you'll have something bad happen, and you equate it to that. But there can be lapses and delays in the actual ripening of the results of the action.
Yeah, that's an excellent answer, Chris, because that's true. You know, positive action, motivation, positive action, and then the result. It doesn't necessarily mean that will ripen straight away. So it's still stored, and we say it's stored on your mental continuum. So it's still a positive action, but the result might not occur instantaneously. So that's an important thing to consider. And that way you can sort of see when there seems to be a disconnect, you won't be perturbed. So it's just how things operate and what things will... So one of the things about the law of cause and effect is that positive action, it will definitely ripen at some stage. So it's definite. You've done the action, it's stored on your mental continuum. At some point it will definitely ripen. So that's one aspect. So it's not lost like, oh well, I did something good, but nothing. No. So that's important to remember because it means that a positive action will have an impact. So it can have an impact on us mentally in the way we perceive the world. So it's our mental attitude can change because we're positively motivated, so it brings that positive habit. So that's important. The other thing is if that positive action, the result of that positive action ripens, the result might be stupendous or gargantuan or universal. So a small positive action might lead to an extremely positive result. So that's good to know, isn't it? And the converse is the same. So a quite small negative action, it's there on your continuum if it doesn't ripen, and it's going to definitely ripen, and it could ripen as something small, or it could ripen to something gargantuan, universal, etc. So it works in both ways. So I'll just do a recap of last week, just for everyone's benefit. So, and this is from the Dalai Lama, this first line: all beings want happiness and don't want suffering. So that's a truism or a Buddhist idea, and you have to examine that to see whether that's true. And is that the way the world operates, that every being is really after some form of happiness and they really want to avoid suffering at all costs? And then when we talk about happiness, we looked at a little bit last week whether the source of happiness are they external sources, internal sources, or a combination. Does anyone have any thoughts on what the sources of happiness could be for a person? So we definitely rely on external factors, don't we? So we need food, shelter, comforts of home, relationships. We do need those things because that's we're social beings. So we do need those things. We also need the internal factors, which we're talking about our state of mind. So in Buddhism they'd say it's both. It's a combination of things. External and internal would be the contributors to your happiness, and of the two, the main one is your own state of mind, is the determinant of whether you're happy or not. And again, I was listening to the Dalai Lama, and he was talking about, if you just, he's got friends who are very wealthy, very powerful, and he was saying they don't have happiness, they don't have satisfaction. They're fearful, they're concerned, they're stressed, and that's probably because they've got great power and great wealth. They've got all the pressures that come with that, so that internally they're no happier than someone who has less. So, in fact, it could be worse. So, so the Buddha indicated that we are the creator of our own happiness. So not others, and not a creator being. So that's again a Buddhist idea. So we're not relying on a creator being to tap us on the shoulder and say, well, you can be happy today, Mark, or you can be happy for this life, or you can be wealthy. So in Buddhism there's no creator being that's dictating your state of mind, whether you're happy or not, whether you're wealthy or not, etc. So that's totally down to us. One of the other ideas I covered last week was that the ultimate state of our minds is clean, clear, pure nature, like the sky. So it's free of any affliction and obscuration. And the problematic states that we have, those call them afflictions, such as anger and jealousy and pride, attachment and so on, they're like clouds in the sky. So they're covering it, obscuring it for the time being. But the ultimate nature of the mind is just the sky, and those afflictions or obscurations can be removed. Does that sound believable? Yes, I can see it. Yes, good. And we can have our own experience of that even before we achieve this state of, clean, clear, pure nature. I've observed that in myself. So even before that, we can get a glimpse of it. And there are particular situations when we can actually tap into that ourselves. One is when we're very relaxed or at peace. So, for example, looking at the ocean as it's going in and out, like the waves coming and then the tide going. So, just looking at that can bring on a very relaxed state where we're clean and clear, not worried, all those anxieties drop away. So that's one example. Are there any other situations where we can perhaps get a glimpse of what that could be like? Maybe not in ourselves, but in others. So if you look at some of the students of the Dalai Lama and Geshe Doga, and I go, they're very peaceful and subdued, and they're very happy. They get on with their lives, they do their study, they do their work, and I think, that's sort of a glimpse of what it could be like, because nothing perturbs them, and not all of them have had easy lives. So it's sort of to me that's okay. That's showing the idea of potential within a human being, and particularly those who have followed the Buddhist path. So it's very good. One of the other methods is where we can observe ourselves. the clear nature of the mind is breathing meditation. So we did a little bit of that last week. So we'll do some now. So this meditation, the breathing meditation, it helps you focus internally, and it can also expand your own feelings about your worth as well. So it's not totally neutral, just in and out of the breath. It's like, you know, has some positive effect. So let's do some breathing meditation. We'll do a little bit of that. So make yourself comfortable. So the main thing with meditation is to try and keep your back straight, and you can be sitting to do that, or cross-legged, whichever suits you. So keep your mouth closed. So you're going to be breathing through your nostrils, your nose. And the focus of your meditation tonight is going to be on the breath. So in our tradition, we put our left hands at the bottom and then our right hand on top, and then our thumbs touching and then pointing back towards your navel. So then you rest your two hands sort of on your lap. And our eyes are sort of not completely shut and not completely open. So you just want to let an impression of light in. So just breathing gently through your nostrils. So imagine or visualize that as you're breathing out, all your anxieties, worries and concerns of the day are being removed. And as you're breathing in, let beautiful enlightened energy come into you. So you can just follow that sequence in and out. So then switch your focus to just the breathing gently through the nostrils, and try and keep your attention there on that sensation, so in and out. And we'll do that for a few minutes. And if your concentration wavers and you start thinking about other things, just gently, slowly bring your attention back to the breathing. Okay, so slowly bring your attention back to the room and open your eyes. So. Okay. So some of the outcomes of breathing meditation are the mind becomes more relaxed but aware, or alert. So there's two things going on at the one time, just more relaxed but more aware. So that's good, because you're not more relaxed and more agitated. So it's having a subduing effect, which is very good. The mind becomes clearer, so that any sort of afflictions or worries, concerns of the day can drop away, and you can observe the mind in its more natural state. Another outcome is the mind can focus on its chosen object. So that's good, isn't it? Because if it was Mark meditating, and for the time of the meditation I was focusing on what am I going to have for dinner afterwards, then that wouldn't be very focused, would it? It would totally defeat the point. So, but with the breathing meditation you can choose your object and develop some focus on it. So it is a continuum, because at first it might seem, oh, well, I'm breathing in and out, but it's more agitation than clean, clear, calm. So, but then as you develop the meditation, the agitation can fall away. So that's good. So the impacts of meditation can include the following. So actually, one of the meditations, one of the focus of this meditation is to let that beautiful enlightened energy in, and then breathe out the afflictions and worries. So that beautiful enlightened energy, you think, oh well, it's just pretend, it's not real. But in our tradition, some of the practices we do, we go, oh yeah, there is enlightened energy in. So what is it? It's can be visual, it can be a feeling. People do mantras, so it can be sound. So it's sort of this sensation of that enlightened energy, which has an impact. That's real. So another impact of doing that type of meditation is that as your breath rises and falls, it's changing moment to moment. So it's not like still, like, oh yeah, that Mark was breathing in and then Mark was breathing out, and Mark, sort of, it's not exactly like the first breath in wasn't the same as the second breath. It sort of it changes. So you're observing then the mind, the nature of the mind, that it's not static, fixed, like a block. So that's good. And out of meditation, we can apply that to other phenomena to see that, well, they also seem to be not static, and they seem to be subject to change as well. And noticing that is good, because that points the way to how to deal with problematic or challenging situations, to not feel, this challenge is just too overwhelming for me, I can't do it, it's too much. If we go, oh well, it's there at the moment, I can face it, I can deal with it, and will it be there tomorrow? Maybe not. Maybe it can be solved. So it's that. At first, the effects of breathing meditation, or any meditation, are pretty much over as soon as you finish the meditation. So you might actually develop a form of peace, relaxation while you're doing the meditation. But as soon as you get out, it becomes a little bit more, oh well, wasn't that good, because now I'm back to worrying about things and being concerned. So, but it's actually good to observe that. So you go, oh well, was good there, and then I'm out of it, and I'm a little bit more I'm more agitated, more upset, more concerned. So if you continue with the regular practice of meditation, then you become less prone to agitation or dullness, so that's good. And you develop more focus and a clean, clear, sharper mind. So that's called concentration. So then you can focus on any object you want, any task, and you can attend to that task with concentration. So you won't be doing your job and then get distracted and then push the job away and go, oh, that's much nicer, I'll do that. You actually can do the thing you wanted to do with concentration. So the outcome is a lot better because you develop concentration. And later on, through the power of meditation, the good effects of meditation can affect the rest of your day, your daily activities. So you don't need to be Buddhist to see the effects of meditation. So it's not particular, it's just Buddhism that we have to be Buddhist to actually see that it can be beneficial and bring positive effects. So, however, in Buddhism they do put the idea of meditation in the context of the 3 wisdom tools that we have. So listening, first one, so you're listening, and then you're thinking about whatever you've listened to, and then the third one's the meditation. So they all worked in tandem, if you like. So that's very good. So that is particularly a Buddhist idea. So, for example, if I'm observing my own breathing and noticing the rise and fall, then out of meditation, if I think about my own negative emotions, such as anger, and that it has the same rise and fall feature. So what is anger? Actually, that's a good... I'll ask the question. What is anger? Anyway?
Not being yourself in a situation where you know you're out of control. You haven't got control of your mind at that time.
Yeah. So that's an out of control state. So that's true, because anger can be a very volatile or explosive state, huh? That would be true, isn't it? It's sort of not really like a slow burn. It's sort of like boom, it pops up out of control. And it's in Buddhism we say it's tinged with a form of hatred. So we sort of say, well, it's got a sense of dislike or hatred there, and it's got that explosive nature. So when we act with it or act with it, it can be very damaging. So, but it has the same qualities when we're looking at the breathing in terms of the rise and fall. So it can be rise quickly, boom, and then can dissipate just as quickly. Unfortunately, with anger, for the time, so even if you've achieved some level of quietude or happiness through meditation, at the moment you have anger, there's no experience of happiness within your mind at that moment. So if you think, oh, well, I've developed good qualities, I've done some meditation, I feel calmer and happier. The moment the anger rises within you, the mind of happiness is down. It's gone, sort of. So you can't be happy and angry at the same time. However, so with the breathing meditation, if one has a peaceful mind through, for example, breathing meditation, and you can extend that feeling out of meditation, then you'll definitely be slower to react with anger. So there's sort of a gap that gets created, like the sense of reactivity to things that upset us the reactivity goes down. So the person or the whatever the object is that invokes the anger, if you've done some meditation to subdue the mind, over time you'll find, well, the object of anger appears, but the anger is slower to rise. That's called cognitive dissonance, or there's some type of gap that's not, but most of the time it's like stimulus and then a response, immediate response, straight away. So the object of anger stimulates us and we respond with anger. Whereas if you have a little gap created then through your own efforts, then you'll find, it doesn't quite come as quickly. So that gap gives you an opportunity to not react with anger, to act with another type of mind, or take yourself away out of that situation so that anger doesn't get an opportunity. Or by the time you're thinking about reacting to the person that's provoked you, they've left. So the circumstance has passed. So that's a good outcome, isn't it? Because you haven't been destructive through your own efforts with anger, because by the time you got rolled up and thought about it, the situation changed. So if we think about that, we can see that that's the sort of the beginning of having some control over what we think and how we respond. I should ask the question though, does anyone have an idea that anger itself, it always is a negative emotion or affliction and will always lead to a negative outcome? Or does anyone think that, oh no, in certain circumstances anger's the right thing to do?
I tend to think it's a natural reaction and it's not always to be dismissed or subdued.
Yes.
I think it's good to have the tool that you're explaining to us, but I think sometimes you've got to look something quite squarely in the face with anger sometimes.
Yes. Okay, so it's a good answer because it's contrary to what I've been saying. So it's always good, but it's good in that you can act. So it's not merely a passive, well, the object of anger is before me, I'll just walk away. Oh no, I can confront that object and maybe respond, but respond without anger. So you can still respond to someone that's trying to harm you or trying to harm someone else or doing the wrong thing, but not with anger. So the emotion of anger is controlled or subdued, and you can still react with wisdom, essentially. We're trying to develop wisdom tools to act without anger. But that's for you to, sorry, another question,
You were talking about the cognitive dissonance. Is that learnt? Like, can you train yourself with that? Is that through meditation or?
So I think those three wisdom tools are listening and then thinking about. The thinking about's, again, it's not the person talking like me who's doing the thinking about, it's the person who's listening or reading, or, it's the individual who's done the thinking about and then doing the meditation to deepen that understanding, and then you'll find those results do come. So it's sort of like, oh well, and I'll give you a great example, and this is the Venerable Geshe Doga. So when he was a young monk, he would get into fights all the time at the monastery, like with the other monks. That would be his nature. He's very volatile. So if someone rubbed him the wrong way, he'd get into a fight with them. So you think, well, okay. So and then in India, he met up with someone from the same village as him, who saw him as later as Geshe Doga, and looked at him in amazement and said, well, I can't believe that you're the same person. You know, like that was, so there you go, there's an idea of, well, you're born with that nature of volatility, etc. Can you change it? Well, there's Geshe Doga, and I don't know if he likes this analogy, this story being repeated, but here's a good example, because you go, well, totally subdued, totally at peace, totally happy, you know, so you go, and that's through his own efforts. So I do believe that can work, and it doesn't, you don't need to be at the level of Geshe Doga to see that. I think if you do any form of listening, thinking about, and meditation, that you can see the results for yourself. So just in terms of another afflicted state, so this one I like using all the time, because this one is a jealousy. So that affliction is, you know, someone is being put on a pedestal, someone is being lauded, someone is getting the kudos, recognition, bouquets, everything, and the feeling within us is, oh, that should be me. What about me? You know, you know. So you think, oh, well, that's, you know, but you can't do anything about that. But one of the great Buddhist teachers, the middle statue, that's the great Lama Tsongkhapa, who's the founder of the tradition we followed. He said the easiest way to gain merit, so this positive store of potential, is to rejoice. So why is it easy? Why is it the easiest? So, because do I have to put much effort in if I'm going to rejoice? Do I have to, you know, move 1,000,000 mountains, earn $1 million? Do I have to do anything? No, I can do. It can be a totally mental exercise. And he said, if you rejoice in others' merit, it's the easiest way for you to make merit. But it also acts as the antidote to jealousy. So if your object of jealousy is there, you needn't be a great meditator, but if you see them and you rejoice at whatever accomplishment they have or whatever recognition they have, the jealousy, at first it's sort of there in the background, you know, like, but then eventually the rejoicing becomes the dominant action or reaction, or it's a response. So that's from, you know, so you don't need to be a great yogi or meditator to do that technique and to see a result. Because next time you see the object of jealousy, the first response won't be, oh, well, what about me? It might be, oh, well done, that's great. So the object of jealousy will probably they'll probably be surprised, like stupefied that you're reacting with happiness towards them. But what will be as important is how you feel, because at that moment you're not racked with jealousy, you're, well done, congratulations, you're at peace, you're happy. So that's a good way to be. So it can work. So has anyone got any questions about that? Because they're both good questions. Good.
It has to come with being genuine and authentic when you're rejoicing.
At first, with most of the practices, particularly, they can be a bit contrived. Like most of the things we start, you know, our efforts initially, like, they're a bit wooden and, you know, not that fluid, you know, like because we're trying a technique. So, but then the more, like with most habits, the more we do it, the better we become at it, and then it becomes more natural. So that's important to remember too. So just like meditation, the more effort you put in, the results come. Same with any type of mind technique to deal with afflicted emotions. Does that answer your question? No? Yeah, okay, great. Because So another type of meditation, and we covered this last week, is analytical meditation. So this is different to the breathing meditation where you're trying to develop focus and concentration. This one you're trying to examine whatever your object of meditation is. So, and why you're doing that is you're building some depth in your analysis or meditation. And in our tradition, initially those meditations are guided initially, so because it can get a bit too raw and emotional, and so we guide them, and then obviously if it gets too hard, you just pull back. So that's because I have sort of looked at some of the other mindfulness meditations that are non-denominational, and they're up on YouTube and probably TikTok. You know, they're all you know, like you sign up and but they don't give you a technique on how to back off if it's getting too hard, if you're feeling a little bit overwrought. So the technique, this is a Buddhist technique. Essentially, this one. So last week we looked at a friend, defining what a friend is and looking at a friend. So this week we'll look at an enemy. So what would we define as an enemy? Yes?
Someone who causes you a lot of angst and pain and burden upset.
Yes, someone who, great answer. So someone who causes you a lot of angst or upset and pain. Because we don't have enemies here in Australia in the traditional sense, do we? Where there are arrows and spears and an army coming to kill you. It's sort of we don't have that type of enemy here, but we do have what's described there. It's essentially someone who brings up that pain and angst for us.
Or someone that wants to hurt you.
Yeah, someone that wants to hurt you. And
Enemies are a harsh word, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Out there.
yeah,
This day and age of enemy.
yeah. So just in this context for this meditation, we're saying the enemies either generates anger towards us, or we feel the anger towards them. You know, that's strong. That's when you think about them, the visceral emotion that comes up is anger. You know, like, and so they're not a friendly object to us at that time. We term that as an enemy. So I guess we're right. We don't have the traditional bang or machine gun type of enemy who are trying to kill us generally.
Anger can come from frustration, though.
Yeah, anger can come from frustration. Yeah.
Frustration, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
That causes perhaps more frustration. Just
Yeah.
getting angry.
Also, if you like the person who's bringing up, who's angry towards us, we can certainly see, we can get frustrated with that. That's not a good situation to be. If someone's angry at us all the time or whenever we see them, you go, that's not great. And then the reciprocal's just as bad, where every time we see them, we get angry, because then you don't want to be around them, do you? Because you're going, well, every time I go to that place or go to see that person, I get angry. I wasn't angry when I went before, but now it puts me in that situation mentally. I become angry. So we're using enemy in that context. Yes, not the traditional idea of an enemy. So let's adopt the meditation posture again, and we'll do some breathing meditation to commence. So just the breathing again, in and out, gently through the nostrils, and just develop some quietude and focus. So bring to mind in front of us an enemy of ours. So this can be a current enemy or one from the past. So we'll do this as sort of an examination. So if at any time it gets too intense, you just bring your attention back to the breathing. So the first point we'll examine is, has that person always been our enemy? Do they have any good qualities? How do they make us feel? Does our enemy ever harm us? Or do we ever harm them? So just so we'll make it brief so that you can just bring your attention back to the room and open your eyes. So people who were last week, who found the meditation easier on the friend than on meditating on the enemy? You did, yes, Chris. And did anyone find meditating? Oh, you did. Yeah. Cheryl, did anyone find meditating on the enemy easier than meditating on the friend from last week? No. Yeah, it's a lot more comfortable to meditate on someone where there's an attraction or an affection towards, like a friend, than it is on someone who agitates us, who either we feel anger towards or they feel anger towards us. Quite uncomfortable. So that's where you've got the sort of escape valve, where if it gets too intense, just go back to the breathing. So some insights we can have in an enemy is, unfortunately, part of being human is we will encounter people who don't like us, or we might not like them. Like there's that. I shouldn't say it's a truism, but it's probably something we've all encountered. There'll be someone who just goes, "Oh, Mark, no, I can't take Mark, no good." So that's something, isn't it? You think, "Oh, I'm trying to please everyone. I'm trying to be." It's just sometimes people will look at you and go, "No." So the other thing about the enemy is the label of a person as an enemy can change, can't it? So I had a friend from, must have been grade 5 or 6 to maybe year 10, year 9, 10. So we were closest buddies, thick as thieves. We'd be at each other's houses after school, on weekends we'd hang out, all that. And then we had a falling out in year 10, and he didn't like me and I didn't like him. Like it was just bang, just like that. I thought, wow.
Do you remember what the falling out was?
Yeah. Well, I should tell you. So I should be open. So effectively, I shouldn't be a closed book, but effectively, we had a group of friends. So every lunchtime we'd go out and play on the tennis court, like a handball game with just a tennis ball with our hands whack whack. So we'd be playing every day, enjoying each other's company. We only had like an hour for lunch. Anyway, he made a jibe at people who were gay. So he was 15, he's a young guy, you know. And I said to him, how can you do that? Because one of our friends was openly, well, that was his disposition. He was homosexual. So I said, and I actually teed off on him. I said, you can't, you know, you're saying that, but what about him? And I said, why don't you hit him? And I must have humiliated him by saying that, because I put him on the spot publicly, and he just walked away. So I wasn't. He didn't know how to handle it, but I probably should have been more skillful and not called him out publicly, maybe. But anyway, I did. But that was a boom, explosion, because effectively probably I acted with anger. You know, you shouldn't be. Because what about our friend? And then he's gone. I can't take this, and he's walked off, and that was the end of it.
Maybe he knew he was wrong.
Maybe, hard to tell. But anyway, there was if you like, a person who was a friend for 6 years or more, and then gone. So I don't think I'm alone in that, because I'm sure in the room here there are people who were friends with someone, and now those people are strangers, or perhaps enemies, and vice versa. Someone who didn't like suddenly turns into a friend. So it can be changeable, so it's not fixed. That's the point I'm making. So, and so there's a feeling of anger when there is an enemy, and the anger can be from our side or from their side. So sort of. And sometimes the enemy can harm us, and sometimes we can harm them. And as I mentioned before, at the moment that the anger is generated, then whatever mental peace we have, it's or happiness, it's gone. It's sort of, trampled on, because the prevailing feeling or emotion is anger, which is an unhappy state. So if we have that, we're very uncomfortable. We're not in that peaceful, happy state at that point. So can we do anything to overcome the anger? So in Buddhism, they do teach some techniques, because otherwise we would just be captive, wouldn't we, to our emotional state. So if we feel the anger, it must have an outlet, otherwise we bottle it up, and that's not good, is it? So you go, well, is there a technique that the Buddhism teaches to, yes, do you know?
Just to breathe deeply.
Breathe deeply, yes, that's one. Because when you breathe deeply, or breathe, where is your attention? Is it on the person, your enemy, or on the breath? So as soon as you take your attention off the enemy, or the person who's angry towards you, or vice versa, and you switch to your breathing, and you don't need to be meditating, you just breathe in and out, and then you've done that, and then the moment passes. The moment of anger can be less intense or disappear, because it's a volatile emotion. So that's a great technique, that one, because that one you don't need to be meditating at the time. You can just be in real life going, okay, I'll just focus on my breathing for a minute, for a second. So that can take the edge off it. There are a couple of other a few other techniques. One is the development of patience. So I might cover those next week, because there's a few different techniques that are described there. So we've only got a few minutes left. The other technique, so this is not patience, but it's sort of combined. It's the development of what we call loving kindness. So just like last week, we said, oh, well, I can have that feeling of friendship to this circle of people, and I can extend it out to everyone, slowly but surely. So this technique looks at the developing closeness or affection towards the enemy and extending that out to all enemies, all people who've wronged us or whatever. So that technique's very good. So that's part of the spiritual practice, because eventually you come to a point where that label of enemy drops, and all you have are friends from your side. So that's a good state of mind to be in, because you're open, you're warm-hearted. Whatever comes your way, you can deal with it, and anger doesn't arise. So you're not harming the other person, so that's another good thing, and you're actively benefiting them because you're their friend. So the gentleman who mentioned the breathing, so another technique, and this is from the Dalai Lama, because he mentioned when he gets angry, and I thought
Does he get angry?
that's an oxymoron. I think he's sort of like he's talking about something. You think, well, no, but he said because he's very strict.
Yeah.
The Dalai Lama, he knows what the monks and that should be doing. Particularly those who are in his monastery and everything, in his entourage. So he says, when I see they're doing the wrong thing, they're sloppy with how they're doing their prayer. He says the anger can arise in him really strongly. I know. Well, that's what I think of him. He's just doing this for effect. But he told the story, and he said he looks for the anger, and he looks. He goes, is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Here? And he says when he examines it, it's got no essence. Like it's an emotion that again comes up. It's there very strongly, and then under scrutiny it can disappear effectively. So he's used that technique, or he said he's used that technique himself. He's good. Is it here, there? I can't find it. There's no real anger there. It's an emotion. It's an emotion that's arisen, but it can't be pinned down. It's pretty ephemeral. So if you like, just using that type of language. So that's a good technique to have, because again, you don't need to be a great meditator for that, but you probably need to be in a situation where you're not in the midst of it, at least initially. Because if you're encountering someone face to face and the anger's arising, it's hard. I think it would be hard, without doing some meditation or whatever before, to have the wherewithal to not focus on the enemy and focus on the feeling within you. It's like, but according to His Holiness, very doable. So with the other technique, you just go, okay, when I examine the anger within me, I can't pin it down to anything, and it's gone. So I think that's very valuable. So okay, so we've generated some very good merit tonight, so positive energy. It will definitely ripen in the future. So, just before we go, does it take a million years or a billion years or a billion lifetimes to ripen? Positive store of energy, of potential? Does it take forever? Like, well, I've done something good, I can't expect to see any results for a long time? Does anyone? No? All right.
Well, like you said earlier, you yourself are feeling a positive reaction to that merit. So even if you don't get it seemingly goes nowhere,
Yeah.
it hasn't.
Yes. So that's right. So I can still have a positive feeling or outcome for doing a positive action, or so that's there at the present, isn't it? That's a positive effect. But the result of a good action, I'm talking about, it can ripen way in the future, or it can ripen much more quickly. So, which is very good. And the two factors that come into that are creating the causes and conditions for it to ripen. So that's up to us, and that's you need to look into that yourselves. What causes and conditions can I cultivate for those good, positive stores of energy to ripen on me and ripen on the people I know. So that's quite good, isn't it? Because that's positive. It means it's not like, oh well, it's in the forever realm. It's in it, I won't even be aware of it when it ripens. But you think, no, it can ripen quickly. So anyway, on that note, let's dedicate the merits we've created tonight. So we'll dedicate them for the benefit of all sentient beings, our friends and our enemies included. So. Okay, thank you everyone. There's tea and cake, tea and biscuits in the coffee corner. Please, welcome, feel welcome to it. Thank you.